Welcome back to CTV Morning Live. We have paged Dr. Paul, and the hot topic, as a lot of people are talking about, is this flu.
Yes.
And I think when I heard the headlines out of Toronto that a toddler had actually passed away yesterday from the flu. You start to realize there's a reason why we are talking about it. There's a serious issue.
Yeah. The flu is a very serious virus, and one of the things that I think is probably the thing that challenges us the most is it's unpredictable. And 1 year versus another changes. For example, last year at this time, we would have been talking about the flu. There were hardly any cases. Right now, we're inundated with it. So although we know that the flu season typically starts around December, January, February, March, sometimes it can start earlier. And actually in Eastern Ontario and Ottawa, it started in November. And so you can't predict it, and that's the hard thing.
Well, it's the prediction, right? Because a lot of people start to think we've had a couple of years since the H1N1 scare that people have kind of become a lot more relaxed about things, and then all of a sudden it kind of hits you, and then the reality.
Yeah, and that's why every year when we're talking about flu campaigns, sometimes it's hard for us to convince people because last year's flu season wasn't that bad, comparatively speaking, but this year's season is worse. And so probably next year it'll be an easier sell for us because people want to actually sometimes have to see it, and now we're seeing it. We're seeing hundreds of cases in our area, thousands across Canada, and like I said, this time last year hardly any cases. And so it's come early, and it seems to be at least moderate to severe in intensity.
I think what surprised me is relaunching the flu clinics, and that really was an idea to say, listen, we still want people doing this.
That's right, and people have the misconception that the vaccine isn't effective. It's not 100% effective, but it's highly effective, and it's actually better to be protected partially than not to be protected at all, especially if you're old or have medical conditions or a young child. And the other thing too is when we've had a cold, and there's actually what I want to tell people as well is there's been a couple of other viruses going around just giving you cold symptoms. And the difference between the cold symptoms and the flu is that the cold usually is stuffy nose, runny nose, bit of a cough, no fever. The flu, high fever, body aches, and can progress to pneumonia and so on. So there's the difference. And so people who think they've had the flu and just had a cold, you haven't had the flu, so you can get the flu shot, and the flu shot is effective. And if by error you had the flu and you get the flu shot again, it's not going to harm you. It's just going to boost your protection.
Because I was wondering that, because once you think you've gotten through something, you're like, all right, I went through it, it's not going to happen again. But that's where you really want to change people's opinions.
Exactly, because if you've had a bad cold, I've had a bad cold for a week, but it was just a stuffy nose, no fever. That wasn't the flu. That was just another virus circulating. There are a couple of what we call respiratory viruses that are circulating, and so it's not that you've had the flu and you're not protected. So, and if you're not sure and you want to get the flu shot, go ahead and get the flu shot. And as you heard in the media, it's available in Ottawa. It's also available in our area, in Eastern Ontario area, in our health unit as well. And it's not too late. The other thing that I was a bit disappointed last year was we saw last fall a decrease in uptake of the flu vaccine itself. And people, like I said, are saying, well, I can get sick from it. No, you cannot get sick from it. It's a dead virus. And that's another fallacy that people use as an excuse. Well, I don't need it. And finally, why do we want to vaccinate as many people as possible? It's because it's something called herd immunity. The more people are vaccinated, the less chance the virus has to go from one person to another, spreading. And so when you talk about outbreaks, a lot of kids, especially it starts in schools, the less victims the virus has, if you're protected, the less it'll propagate or spread in the environment.
Is that a statement that it's a responsibility of the community then to be able to work together?
Yes, it is. It's actually that's what's called herd immunity. Actually, it's basically a community approach. So when you're protecting yourself from getting the flu with getting a flu shot, you're also protecting your entourage. If you have elderly in your home, if you have young children in your home, if you have children or people that are sick, you're actually protecting them as well. So it's really twofold. You're protecting yourself and you're protecting others, because you may get the flu, and it may not be as bad for you, but if you give it to your mother or your grandmother who has chronic medical conditions, it may be quite serious for her.
I think the statistics have been incredibly scary. People can find more information then on where to find the flus. What's your best recommendation?
Basically, the flu shot. First of all physicians have it. Participating pharmacists have it across Eastern Ontario. Ottawa Public Health, as you know, is having flu clinics. But call your local health unit, because I know we cross health units. Just call your local health unit and get information. For example, in the Eastern Ontario Health Unit area, if you call our offices, we have our 6 offices. We'll be offering it on a regular basis. And so the higher the demand, I'm happier. we have enough vaccine. That's another thing.
Okay, and get it to it now.
Get it to it now. It's not too late.
It's not too late. I think that was the big thing right there.
And one more thing, there's another virus in there, a B virus, that may be coming in the future, and so it protects you against that as well.
Okay, great information. Hopefully that's helped some of you at home. If you're sitting on the fence or wondering what's going on, information could help you there. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Paul.